Imagine for a moment that everything you've ever desired, love, success, respect, abundance, is already yours. Not in some far-off future, not in a place waiting to be earned, but right here, right now, hidden in the folds of your awareness. The world around you bends itself to the shape of your inner conviction. And life becomes not a chase, but a mirror. You are not the seeker of value, you are the value. You are not the beggar knocking on the door of opportunity. You are the invitation itself. When you walk into a room, walk with the quiet knowing that your presence alone is enough, not because of your looks, your money, your titles, or your past, but because of who you are within. That divine self that no one sees but everyone feels. The world responds not to your desperation, not to your effort, but to your assumption. What you assume to be true of yourself, the world rushes to confirm. So act not from lack, but from fullness. Do not ask, will they choose me? But instead, am I choosing myself in every moment? To act as if you are the prize is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is the holy recognition that you do not need to prove, to beg, or to lower your light so others feel comfortable. The sun does not apologize for its brilliance, and neither should you. People may try to convince you that humility means shrinking, but true humility is knowing your worth without shouting it. It is wearing your crown even when no one claps. It is knowing that your value is not up for negotiation, not dependent on who accepts you or who walks away. You do not become the prize by earning it through external achievements. You are the prize because you were born with the spark of the eternal within you. The outer world may forget it, but your soul never does. And when you remember it, deeply, fiercely, and consistently, the world begins to reflect it back to you. Doors open without knocking. People shift in your presence. Circumstances rearrange themselves, not because you chased, but because you became. So carry yourself as one who already holds the treasure. Speak as one who already knows the answer. Think as one who is already chosen. Because to act as if you are the prize is to stop seeking and start radiating, and the universe cannot resist the one who no longer resists themselves. You are not incomplete waiting to be completed. You are not half a soul looking for its other part. You are the whole, and the whole does not chase, it attracts. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to remind others of what they've forgotten about themselves. But that reminder can only come when you first remember your own sacred worth. When you embody your power, silently, consistently, and with grace, you activate the very force that shapes reality. Not by force, but by frequency. You will see people who used to ignore you now trying to capture your attention. Not because you changed your face, but because you changed your inner stance. You became unbothered. You stopped reaching, you ceased to beg. And in doing so, you became magnetic. The prize does not chase, it waits. It knows that what is meant to find it will come. Not because it needs it, but because it matches it. So stand tall, not because life has given you a reason, but because you have decided to be the reason. Walk into every moment like the answer, not the question. Speak from certainty, not fear. Think from completion, not craving. And you will begin to see that you were never meant to find value. You were meant to awaken to the truth that you are, and always have been, the value itself. The world you see around you is not merely a stage of external events and random outcomes. It is, in truth, a faithful mirror, an exact reflection of the internal beliefs you carry about yourself. Every interaction, every delay, every blessing, every rejection, they are not accidents. They are responses to your dominant state of consciousness. When you believe you are not enough, life seems to echo that belief back to you. People overlook you. Opportunities pass you by. Respect is denied. But the moment you shift within, the moment you assume that you are the prize, everything begins to change. not because the world suddenly becomes generous, but because you have changed the signal you are broadcasting. You see, life listens not to what you say, not even to what you want, but to what you assume to be true. If deep within you hold the belief that you are secondary, unworthy, replaceable, or lacking, you will find yourself in situations that confirm it. You may try to hide this belief with surface-level confidence, with polished appearances, or with ambition, but the universe does not respond to the mask, and it responds to the root. And until that root belief is transformed, you will find yourself circling the same experiences, wondering why others seem to be chosen while you are overlooked. But here is the miracle. The moment you begin to assume differently, life begins to respond differently. You do not need to wait for validation. You do not need a new wardrobe or a new degree or someone's permission. You need a new assumption. Imagine waking up and walking through your day with the inner conviction that you are the prize, not arrogantly, not loudly, but silently, deeply, and unshakably. You begin to think differently, not because someone complimented you, but because you remembered who you are. You begin to walk with calm presence, not because the world told you to, but because your inner world has settled into truth. From this new assumption, the mirror must reflect a new image. People start treating you with unexpected kindness and respect. Invitations arrive. Eyes linger longer. Doors open faster. And it's not because you have become someone new, but because you finally allowed the truth of who you are to radiate from within. You were always the prize, but you spent years acting like the pursuer, believing that value was outside of you, something to be earned or chased. Now you realize it was within you the whole time. Your world is only confirming what you now believe. This is why you must protect your inner assumptions with fierce dedication. Do not let the outer world dictate how you feel about yourself. The world is not the cause, it is the effect. If someone mistreats you, instead of spiraling into self-doubt, go within and ask, what belief am I holding that allows this behavior to reflect in my world? Then shift it. Choose again. Assume again. Because once you assume your worth, the world cannot help but reflect that worth back to you. This is not delusion. This is alignment. You are aligning with the truth of your spiritual identity, and that identity is powerful, radiant, whole, and worthy. The false humility that tells you to shrink, to doubt, to remain small, that is the true illusion. But the quiet certainty that says, I am enough, I am chosen, I am the prize, that is the beginning of all transformation. The shift begins not in changing others, but in changing the way you see yourself. Even when circumstances seem unchanged, hold your assumption. Even when others do not see it yet, do not waver, because the mirror takes a moment to catch up with the new image you are holding, but it must reflect it. It has no choice. That is the law. Your assumption is the seed, and your world is the soil. Once planted, it begins to grow. You will see evidence, and that evidence will strengthen your faith. And soon, the old reality that once ruled you will seem like a distant dream, because you will have created a new one from within. To act as if you are the prize then is not to manipulate the world. It is to accept that the world can only mirror back what you've dared to believe about yourself. The change you seek is not out there. It is in the silence of your own consciousness. Begin there and watch how the world must respond. There is a profound shift that happens the moment you stop seeking and start radiating. Seeking is rooted in lack. It says, I do not yet have, therefore I must chase. But radiating emerges from inner knowing. It says, it is already mine, so I need only to be. When you seek, you send a message to life that you are incomplete, that you are in need, that something vital is missing. And life, being the perfect mirror, reflects back that sense of lack. But when you begin to radiate, you no longer broadcast need, you exude presence. You become a signal of wholeness. And suddenly, Everything you once chased begins to find you. It is not about doing more. It is about being more aligned. When you stop running after love, approval, recognition, or success, you begin to carry yourself with a stillness that is more powerful than words. You no longer ask the world to notice you because your energy already commands attention. People may not know why they feel drawn to you, why they respect you more, why they want to be around you, but they will feel it. That feeling is your radiance. And it is born not from effort, but from assumption. To radiate is to know who you are deeply and silently. It is to walk into any space not asking to be chosen, but knowing that your worth does not increase or decrease based on someone else's response. You are not moved by attention, nor are you diminished by silence. Because you have anchored your value inwardly, the outer world becomes a place of reflection, not validation. And that is where true power lives. Power that does not seek to impress. Power that simply is. Many people confuse radiance with arrogance, but the two could not be further apart. Arrogance shouts from insecurity, radiance whispers from certainty. When you radiate, you do not need to argue for your value. You do not need to compete for space. You simply exist in the fullness of your being, and that fullness becomes a light others cannot ignore. The rose does not chase the bee. The sun does not plead with the earth to rotate. Their function is not to seek, but to shine. Think about the times when you felt the most magnetic, the most powerful, the most free. It was likely not when you were seeking approval, but when you were immersed in being fully yourself. No masks, no trying, just being. That state of effortless presence is the key, and the more you cultivate it, the more you'll notice that people, ideas, and outcomes begin to orbit around you, not because you demanded it, but because you became the source. This transformation requires a quiet confidence, a willingness to stop performing and start embodying. You no longer need to ask, "Am I enough?" Because the question itself fades in the presence of truth. And the truth is that you have always been enough. The seeking was just a distraction, a symptom of forgetting. When you remember who you are, not with ego but with reverence, you no longer feel the urge to reach outward. You realize that everything is attracted to the one who no longer chases. It is important to recognize that the shift from seeking to radiating is not something others grant you, it is something you decide. It is a choice you make in the stillness of your own mind. You decide to stop begging the world to see you, and instead you see yourself. You stop waiting for someone else to give you permission to feel worthy, and instead you declare yourself worthy now. This is not fantasy, this is faith. And faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. When you radiate, you move differently. You speak with more intention. You rest without guilt. You listen without fear. You show up not because you are trying to earn something, but because your presence is already a gift. You start to find beauty in your solitude, peace in your stillness, and joy in your being. And from that place of inner wholeness, what is truly yours begins to flow toward you, not because you hunted it down, but because you finally aligned with it. So if you find yourself exhausted from the constant chasing love, chasing attention, chasing success, know this: you do not have to run anymore. Be still and know. The moment you begin to radiate is the moment the world begins to respond, not with chaos, but with clarity, not with scarcity, but with abundance, because you have stopped screaming into the void and started vibrating with truth. The world cannot help but move toward one who no longer seeks validation from it. There is something irresistible about a soul that has remembered its worth, a soul that has nothing to prove, nothing to chase, and nothing to fear. That is the essence of true radiance, and when you live from that essence, everything changes, because you change first. There is a quiet freedom that comes with knowing you are already complete. Not someday, not when someone loves you, not when the world finally recognizes your efforts, but now, in this very moment. You are not half a soul searching for its other part. You are not a broken piece hoping someone will come along to fill your cracks. You are whole. Spiritually, emotionally, energetically, you are a full expression of life itself. Acting as if you were the prize begins with understanding that you were never meant to be completed by another person, situation, or outcome. You were designed to be complete, to know yourself as enough before the world even speaks your name. Most people walk through life trying to earn their completeness. They look for it in relationships, hoping that someone's love will finally make them feel valuable. They seek it in achievements, thinking that success will silence the inner voice of inadequacy. They chase it in possessions, hoping that if they acquire enough, they will finally feel like they matter. But wholeness cannot be found in fragments, and that what is already whole cannot be improved by what is temporary. The truth is, you came into this world with everything you needed. You just forgot. And in that forgetting, you began to act from lack. You began to seek approval, to crave attention, to depend on other people's opinions, to feel secure. You began to overgive, to over-explain, to overextend yourself just to be seen. You accepted less than you deserved because you believed deep down that you had to earn love, earn respect, earn belonging. But what if you didn't? What if you already had it within you? And then, what if the love you give so freely to others was always meant to be reflected inward first? When you act as if you are complete, you no longer tolerate situations that diminish you. You no longer participate in relationships that drain you. You no longer give your power away in the hope that someone will return it with affection. You understand that your self-worth is not a negotiation. It is a sacred knowing. It is the truth you carry even when no one claps, even when no one stays, even when the world seems silent. Because true wholeness does not require applause to be real. It simply is. To act from completeness is not to reject connection. It is to approach connection from fullness rather than from hunger. You no longer say, I need you to make me feel whole. Instead, you say, I welcome you into the abundance I already carry. There is no desperation in this, no clinging, no fear of abandonment, because you are not grasping for completion. You are sharing from overflow. And that shift changes everything. People sense it. They feel it in your presence. They respect it even if they cannot explain why. Living from completeness means that you no longer chase the things that once haunted you. You stop chasing closure because you understand that peace is an internal decision, not a gift someone else grants you. You stop chasing validation because you are already rooted in self-approval. You stop chasing the fantasy of being saved because you know that your strength has always been enough to carry you through. The chase ends, and in its place, calm begins. You do not need to announce your completeness. You do not need to prove it. In fact, the most complete souls are often the quietest, not because they lack power, but because they no longer need to display it. Their peace speaks louder than performance ever could. Their silence is not emptiness. It is fullness too deep for words. And in that quiet strength, they become unshakable. Life may rise and fall around them. People may come and go, but they remain anchored, not to ego, but to truth. When you truly know your whole, you begin to trust life in a new way. You no longer try to control everything. You no longer fear being alone. You no longer measure your worth by how others treat you. Instead, you begin to rest, not in laziness, but in confidence. You begin to let go, not from defeat, but from wisdom. And you begin to receive, not because you need, but because you are ready. You become magnetic, not by striving, but by being. You attract what is aligned, and what is misaligned falls away without resistance, not because you fought it, but because it no longer matches your inner reality. You have become the prize, not just in word but in state of being. And from that state, you do not beg, you do not chase, you do not break. You simply stand, complete, worthy, unmoved. This is the power of knowing you are not a fragment in search of your missing piece. You are the whole picture. And when you live from that truth, life begins to mirror it, not because it changed, but because you did. Thus I can think of as forms. There is an invisible stance you carry, one that speaks louder than words, more forcefully than any action. It is the quiet, unspoken message you send out through your body language, your choices, your silence, your energy. This inner posture is not seen with the eyes, but it is deeply felt by the world around you. Your inner stance determines your outer results, not because the universe plays favorites, but because the outer world is always responding to the energetic blueprint you hold within. You are not a passive participant in your life's outcomes. You are the origin point. What you carry in consciousness becomes what you experience in reality. You could say all the right words, wear the right clothes, show up in the right places, and still watch life pass you by. If your inner stance is one of fear, doubt, or unworthiness, and you could do very little externally, speak softly, remain unseen, yet command extraordinary results. If your inner stance is one of assurance, wholeness, and knowing, the external world has no choice but to respond to the vibration you live in. That's why two people can enter the same room, say the same thing, apply for the same opportunity, and receive completely different responses. It is not the action alone, it is the posture from which the action arises. When you carry yourself with the quiet belief that you are not enough, you unconsciously push away the very things you desire. Opportunities slip through your fingers. Relationships remain shallow or unstable. Respect is denied without explanation. But the moment you shift within, the moment you stop approaching life from a place of needing to prove something, everything changes. You stop needing to convince people of your worth, and instead you begin to show up as someone who already knows it. That knowing, that deep inner stance, becomes your signature energy, and the world cannot help but respond. Most people are taught to fix the outer before addressing the inner. They try to manipulate circumstances, control outcomes, change others. They hope that if they can just get life to behave the way they want, they will finally feel safe, valuable, powerful. But this is a backwards equation. The inner always comes first. The outer is the echo. So if you want life to treat you differently, you must first treat yourself differently. In thought, in belief, in assumption. There is nothing more powerful than the energy of someone who has decided to no longer betray themselves. Someone who no longer walks into a room hoping to be chosen, but who knows they belong wherever their feet are placed. Someone who no longer apologizes for their presence, their needs, or their truth. That kind of person doesn't dominate others. They don't shout to be seen, but their calm is commanding and their silence is full. Their stillness is magnetic. Why? Because their inner stance is rooted in unshakable worth. And this inner stance cannot be faked. You cannot pretend to believe in your value. You cannot force alignment through performance. The universe does not respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you truly believe you deserve. If your actions are motivated by fear, the result will reflect fear. If your words are rooted in insecurity, but if you move from a place of spiritual confidence, knowing that your value is not up for debate, then every step you take becomes a seed of power, and the harvest will come not by striving, but by standing. This is why you must guard your inner world. Watch what you allow yourself to believe. Be aware of the narratives you rehearse in your mind. Do you constantly imagine being overlooked, rejected, betrayed? Or do you imagine being honored, loved, respected? Do you walk through your day with a posture of scarcity or a posture of sufficiency? These choices are subtle, but they are everything. Because the world is not responding to your effort, it is responding to your energy. You don't need to fix your appearance, your status, or your resume to change your results. You need to fix your stance. You need to wake up and declare in the silence of your heart that you will no longer carry the energy of someone who doubts their own worth. You will no longer tolerate the internal dialogue that says, I am too much or I am not enough. You will no longer approach life as if you are at its mercy. Instead, you will begin to live as if life is responding to you. Because it is. And when you change your stance, people begin to treat you differently without understanding why. Suddenly, you are respected in a room where you were once dismissed. You are seen where you were once invisible. You are remembered where you were once forgotten. Not because they changed, but because you did. And this change doesn't require noise or grand gestures. It simply requires consistency. You begin to embody the energy of someone who knows their value and refuses to be moved by circumstances that do not align with it. The stance you carry is your authority. When you align it with truth, your truth, the world follows. Every result you seek is already on the other side of your inner decision to stop begging for what you were meant to command. And when that decision is made, everything shifts. Not from the outside in, but from the inside out. There is a sacred stillness in the soul that knows its worth. It does not chase, it does not beg, it does not exhaust itself trying to be seen, heard, or chosen. It waits, not with passivity, but with powerful awareness. It waits because it understands one eternal truth. The prize never pursues. The prize knows that what is aligned will find it. It understands that to be the prize is to be sought, not to seek. And this is not about ego or arrogance. It is about identity. It is about finally stepping into the place where you stop trying to prove your value and start embodying it. When you act as if you are the prize, you take your attention off of the noise. You no longer react to every slight, chase after every opportunity, or cling to people who don't see you. You step back into your center. And from that center, you remember that what is truly meant for you is never something you have to fight for. It will be drawn to you, not because you forced it, but because your energy called it in. The prize does not move toward the world in desperation. The prize stands rooted and allows the world to move toward it. So, many people wear themselves thin trying to be enough for others, running after love, chasing respect, hoping that if they give more, prove more, sacrifice more, they will finally be chosen. But that energy only leads to disappointment. Why? Because it's not the nature of the prize to chase. It's the nature of the prize to attract. If you're constantly chasing, you're not aligned with the essence of your own value. You're not standing in the frequency of already being chosen. You're operating from lack. And lack always creates more lack. Stop chasing doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you become cold or indifferent. It means you become discerning. You recognize what deserves your energy and what doesn't. You understand that not everything that glitters is gold, and not every open door leads to purpose. So you wait, not with fear, but with faith. Faith that the right people, the right moments, the right blessings will always make their way to you, not because you demanded them, but because you became the version of yourself who no longer begs. Waiting is the prize of an inner knowing. It's the quiet confidence that says, if it is meant for me, it will not miss me. And if it misses me, it was never mine. It's the refusal to shrink, to settle, or to compete for attention. Because deep within, you understand that the things you're meant to experience are already drawn to the vibration you hold. Raise your vibration, and what no longer fits will fall away. Stand still in your truth, and what aligns will show up. Sometimes without announcement, without effort, without warning. The prize never fears missing out. The prize is not shaken by delay or by silence. It trusts, not passively but spiritually. It trusts that its worth will always be recognized by the right eyes. It trusts that it is not hidden, it is protected, and that protection is not rejection, it is redirection. You don't need to chase after validation when you are anchored in identity. You don't need to run after what you believe is yours. You become the gravitational pull. What is aligned cannot resist you. Not when you are rooted in the truth of who you are. This mindset is not common because it goes against everything the world teaches. The world teaches hustle, pursuit, desperation. It says, don't sit still, go out and get what you want. And there is value in action, yes. But there is a difference between action from alignment and action from insecurity. Chasing from insecurity is exhausting and often fruitless. But standing in identity and letting your energy do the calling, that is mastery. That is spiritual power. You become selective, not because you are too proud, but because you finally understand your worth. You stop explaining yourself to those who don't understand you. You stop trying to convince anyone of your goodness, your loyalty, your heart. You don't lower your standards for fleeting attention. You don't chase half efforts. You wait. Because you know, and in that knowing, there is peace. When you stop chasing and start embodying the truth that you are the prize, everything begins to shift. The people who once overlooked you begin to wonder. The ones who took you for granted begin to regret. The doors that once stayed closed begin to creak open, not because you knocked harder, but because you became undeniable. That's what happens when you rest in your power. The world adjusts to you. That anxiety, you no longer wake up in anxiety, trying to plan every step to get what you want. You wake up in confidence, knowing that what is yours is already on its way. You focus on becoming, not impressing. You focus on alignment, not performance. And the most beautiful part is this: when the blessings arrive, they don't feel like a reward for chasing. They feel like a natural response to your energy. Because you didn't chase, you chose. You chose yourself. And in doing so, you gave the world no other option but to choose you too. There is a transformative power in living as though it is already done. This is not wishful thinking or blind optimism. It is a deliberate act of spiritual authority. To assume that your desires are already fulfilled is to step into the energy of completion before the physical evidence appears. This is how true creation happens, not through hoping and waiting, but through becoming. But when you act as if you are the prize, you no longer operate from a place of lack, of trying to become worthy or trying to earn love or success. You begin to assume that everything you seek is already yours, and in doing so you collapse the distance between desire and manifestation. When you carry yourself as though the outcome is already secured, your thoughts shift, your emotions shift, your posture shifts. You stop asking, when will it happen, and begin living from the place of it is already mine. That is the difference between doubt and faith. Doubt looks outward for reassurance. Faith rests inward with conviction. To assume it is already done is to choose faith over fear, trust over striving, alignment over anxiety. You do not need to see the manifestation to believe in it. In fact, you must believe in it before you see it. That is the nature of all divine creation. Every great shift in life begins in the unseen, in the quiet chambers of the heart and mind. The world will always try to convince you that you must wait for signs, that you must be patient for proof. But the moment you begin to embody the version of yourself who already has what you desire, you send a new signal into the field of life. And life begins to respond not to your hope, but to your knowing. There is no faster way to transform your life than to assume you are already living the reality you seek. You want love? Then walk in the energy of one who is already loved, deeply, fully, without condition. You want success? Then speak, think, and move like someone who already carries success in their being. You want healing? Then dwell not in the sickness, but in the feeling of restoration and strength. This is not denial. This is decision. A decision to no longer reinforce the energy of what is lacking, but to nurture the frequency of what is becoming. The world around you begins to shift not when you complain, not when you wait, not when you demand, but when you decide. You decide who you are, and you hold that decision in your body, in your words, in your energy. It becomes your new normal. And the moment you normalize abundance, peace, love, respect, joy, those very things begin to find you, because you are no longer seeking them. So many people walk through life waiting for something to happen before they give themselves permission to feel good. They wait for love to feel worthy, wait for money to feel secure, wait for recognition to feel validated. But life doesn't work that way. The feeling must come first. The assumption must precede the evidence. If you walk as though it is already yours, you bridge the gap between the invisible and the visible. You become a magnet for the very things that once seemed distant. Acting as if it is already done does not mean pretending. It means aligning your inner world so completely with the outcome that it becomes more real to you than what your eyes can see. You close your eyes and dwell in the fulfilled state. You visualize not as a dreamer but as a creator. You speak not about what you hope for, but from what you know. And when you move from this place, your actions are not driven by fear, they are guided by confidence. This is the essence of walking by faith and not by sight. Faith does not consult the senses, it consults the spirit. And your spirit already knows what is meant for you. It already knows that the vision in your heart was placed there for a reason. The moment you stop questioning it and start living as though it is already done, the entire universe begins to rearrange itself to support your assumption. So wake up each day with the posture of fulfillment. Let your conversations reflect the confidence of one who is already chosen. Let your choices reflect the wisdom of one who already possesses clarity. Let your energy reflect the peace of one who is not waiting, but welcoming. And in doing so, you rise above circumstance. You step outside of time. You walk ahead of the evidence because you are no longer trying to create from lack. You are creating from truth. And truth does not need to be proven. It only needs to be embodied. When you embody the energy of your fulfilled desire, the mirror of life cannot help but reflect it back, not because you forced it, but because you finally became it. When you are faced with chaos, fear, or uncertainty, it is easy to feel as if the world is unraveling around you. But what if I told you that the key to navigating this world, to overcoming every challenge, lies not in your reaction to the world, but in your ability to remain calm, centered, and grounded within yourself? Your calmness, that peaceful inner space where you are at one with yourself, is a power that no external force can break. The world may be loud and the circumstances may scream for your attention, but the real strength lies in the ability to stand unmoved, unaffected by the noise. Calmness is not the absence of emotion or action, but the conscious choice to maintain your composure in any given moment. It is the recognition that you are not controlled by external circumstances, but by the power of your own awareness, your own mental state. Think of the calmness within you as a wellspring, a quiet, undisturbed force that has the power to create, to manifest, and to shape your reality. When you act as if your calmness is your strength, you shift your focus from the world's chaos to the world within you. You stop reacting from fear and start responding from a place of inner power. You understand that it is not the storm outside, but your ability to remain centered within that determines the course of your life. There will always be distractions, challenges, and situations that seek to disrupt your peace. But when you act as if your calmness is your strength, you refuse to allow those disturbances to dictate your experience. Instead of allowing yourself to be swept away by the tides of life, you anchor yourself in the present moment, knowing that your inner state is the only true source of power. Your calmness is not passive, it is an active choice. It is a declaration that no matter what happens around you, you remain unwavering, grounded, and at peace. As you embody this truth, you will notice how the world begins to respond to you differently. People will sense your composure and be drawn to your centeredness. Situations that once seemed overwhelming will begin to feel manageable because you are no longer controlled by them. When you know that your calmness is your strength, you stand taller, face challenges with clarity, and move through life with a quiet confidence that comes from deep within. The world may try to pull you in many directions, but you stand in the power of your own peaceful strength, knowing that it is in stillness that true power is found. True strength is often misunderstood in our fast-paced, action-oriented world. We are frequently taught that strength comes from outward displays of power, forceful reactions, or the ability to conquer any obstacle that stands in our path. But there is a deeper, quieter strength that lies within all of us, one that is far more powerful than any external force. This strength is rooted in calmness, the ability to remain peaceful, centered, and composed even in the most turbulent of times. The world we live in often encourages us to react impulsively to the challenges and chaos that surround us. We are bombarded with demands, expectations, and constant stimulation that stir up our emotions and compel us to act without fully understanding the situation. In the midst of all this noise, it becomes easy to forget that we have the power to choose how we respond. We can allow the chaos to dictate our state of mind, or we can decide in each moment to remain calm and centered. When you recognize that calmness is your strength, you begin to realize that you do not need to match the noise of the world with your own emotional outbursts or frantic energy. Instead, you can stand firm in your peace, like an immovable rock in the middle of a storm. Calmness is not about shutting out the world or pretending that everything is perfect. It is about accepting the world as it is, while choosing to maintain your inner peace despite the external conditions. This inner calmness allows you to create a space of clarity where you can see things as they truly are without the distortion of fear, anxiety, or panic. It is in this state of clarity that you are able to think clearly and make decisions that are aligned with your highest good. When you are calm, you are not controlled by external circumstances, but by your own awareness. You are not a victim of what is happening around you. Instead, you are the creator of your response, and this is where your true power lies. There is a profound strength in being able to stand still amidst the whirlwind of life. Think about a situation where everything seems to be falling apart around you. Perhaps you've lost a job, experienced a difficult breakup, or encountered a health challenge. The natural tendency may be to react with fear, anger, or despair. But what if, instead of allowing these emotions to take over, you chose to remain calm and composed? In that moment, you would be choosing to maintain control over your mental and emotional state, rather than allowing the situation to control you. This choice may not always come easily, especially when faced with challenges that feel overwhelming. But the more you practice remaining calm, the more you will realize that your peace is the one thing that cannot be taken away from you. It is a strength that comes from within, and it is always available to you, regardless of external circumstances. The more you choose to tap into this calmness, the more you will discover just how powerful it truly is. When you embrace calmness as your strength, you begin to understand that the world's chaos cannot diminish your power unless you allow it to. This realization gives you the freedom to move through life with confidence, knowing that no matter what happens, you have the ability to remain anchored in your peace. You no longer feel helpless in the face of adversity. Instead, you feel empowered, knowing that your calmness is the key to overcoming any challenge. Moreover, calmness allows you to take more deliberate and conscious action. When you are calm, you can approach problems with a clear mind and a balanced perspective. You are no longer reactive or impulsive. Instead, you can think strategically, weighing your options and making decisions from a place of wisdom and clarity. In this state, you are able to act with purpose and intention, knowing that each step you take is aligned with your higher self. The strength of calmness is also reflected in how it affects the people around you. In a world where so many are struggling with stress, anxiety, and uncertainty, your ability to remain calm can serve as a beacon of hope and reassurance. People are naturally drawn to those who exude ease, and they seek your presence in times of trouble. This calmness becomes contagious, creating a ripple effect that helps to uplift others and create a more peaceful environment. Think about the people you know who seem to exude calmness in every situation. They are the ones who remain composed in the face of conflict, who offer wisdom and perspective when others are losing their heads. There is a magnetic quality to their presence, because they have mastered the art of remaining centered and grounded, no matter what is happening around them. They know that true strength is not about reacting to life with force, but about responding to life with a deep inner peace that cannot be shaken. When you make calmness your strength, you begin to transform not only your own life, but also the lives of those around you. You become a living example of what is possible when you refuse to be controlled by fear, anxiety, or the chaos of the world. You show others that it is possible to remain strong, even in the midst of challenges, and you inspire them to find their own inner calmness. It is important to understand that calmness does not mean complacency or passivity. It is not about ignoring problems or pretending that everything is fine when it is not. Calmness is an active choice to remain centered, no matter what is happening around you. It is about taking the time to pause, breathe, and collect yourself before reacting. In this stillness, you allow the wisdom and clarity that comes from your inner peace to guide you. You do not act out of fear or impulse, but from a place of deliberate thought and intention. Over time, as you practice remaining calm, you will find that the world becomes less overwhelming. You will begin to trust that, no matter what challenges arise, you have the strength within you to navigate them with grace and composure. Your calmness will become a constant source of power that guides you through life, helping you to overcome obstacles and achieve your goals with ease. In conclusion, calmness is not a passive state, but a powerful inner strength that allows you to navigate the challenges of life with clarity, purpose, and grace. It is the ability to remain composed, even in the face of chaos, and to respond to life from a place of inner peace. When you recognize that calmness is your strength, you unlock the true power within you, and you become unstoppable. Calmness is often viewed as something passive, a mere absence of turmoil or noise. But true calmness is far from passive. It is a conscious, deliberate choice. It's an active decision to remain grounded, regardless of the circumstances around you. In a world that seems to reward quick reactions, emotional outbursts, and fast-paced decision-making, the ability to stay calm is a profound strength that can completely transform your experience of life. When you realize that calmness is not just a natural reaction, but a conscious choice, it becomes a tool that empowers you to navigate even the most chaotic situations with grace. The ability to choose calmness begins with self-awareness. Every moment of emotional turbulence, fear, or anxiety presents an opportunity to make a choice. You can either react automatically based on what's happening around you, or you can pause and choose to remain calm. This moment of pause is the key to unlocking your inner strength. When you can catch yourself in moments of tension or distress and consciously choose to shift into a state of calmness, you begin to break free from the automatic, conditioned responses that often lead to regret, misunderstandings, and emotional turmoil. You reclaim control over your mental and emotional state. This act of choosing calmness may seem difficult at first, especially if you're accustomed to reacting impulsively to stress or challenges. But as you practice it, it becomes more natural. It's important to realize that calmness doesn't mean suppressing your emotions or pretending that everything is fine when it's not. Rather, it's about choosing to respond to those emotions in a way that is measured, thoughtful, and constructive. Choosing calmness means taking a step back, recognizing what is happening within you, and allowing yourself the space to process it without rushing to react. In doing so, you create the opportunity to respond with clarity and wisdom, rather than from a place of panic or fear. This choice to remain calm doesn't negate the need to take action or make decisions. In fact, it enhances your ability to act decisively and with purpose. When you are calm, you can see the situation more clearly, free from the distortion of heightened emotions. This clarity allows you to make decisions that are aligned with your true desires and values rather than reacting from a place of impulsive emotions or external pressures. When you are not controlled by fear or anxiety, you can think more strategically and choose your actions with greater intention. Choosing calmness also requires a level of trust in yourself and in the process of life. You must trust that, even when things are not going as planned, you have the capacity to handle whatever comes your way. You must trust that everything is unfolding in perfect timing, even if it doesn't appear that way in the moment. By choosing calmness, you're essentially saying, I trust that I have everything I need within me to navigate this situation with grace. It's about cultivating faith in your ability to deal with whatever life throws at you, knowing that you are never powerless. This trust is an important part of choosing calmness because it helps you release the need to control everything. Much of the stress and anxiety that we experience in life come from our attempts to control outcomes or anticipate problems before they even arise. When you choose calmness, you relinquish the need to control every situation and instead embrace the flow of life, knowing that you can handle whatever comes, no matter how unexpected. You give yourself permission to simply be in the moment, trusting that you are exactly where you need to be. Another essential aspect of choosing calmness is the recognition that you are not a victim of your circumstances. Life will continue to present challenges, difficult people, and unexpected twists and turns. However, you have the power to choose how you respond to these challenges. The world does not determine your emotional state, you do. This realization is incredibly empowering. When you choose calmness, you step into your power. You are no longer at the mercy of external events or other people's actions. Instead, you choose to be calm, centered, and unaffected by the things that once would have thrown you off balance. The choice to remain calm also helps you become more present. When you are calm, you are more able to engage fully with the present moment, without the distraction of past regrets or future worries. The mind is often pulled in many directions, but when you choose calmness, you bring yourself back to the here and now. This presence allows you to enjoy life more fully, as you're no longer consumed by mental noise or the desire to control what happens next. Instead, you can experience the fullness of life as it is, without the need to constantly do or fix things. Choosing calmness also allows you to develop greater emotional resilience. Life is unpredictable, and it's impossible to avoid challenges entirely. However, when you have the ability to remain calm in the face of adversity, you build emotional resilience. With each challenge you face, you become stronger and more capable of handling future obstacles. Choosing calmness helps you bounce back faster from setbacks, as you are not consumed by negative emotions or prolonged periods of stress. Instead, you move through the challenge with a sense of equanimity, knowing that it too shall pass. There is also a profound connection between the choice to remain calm and the ability to manifest your desires. The calmer you are, the clearer your thoughts become. When you are calm, you are better able to focus your energy on what you truly want, rather than being distracted by fear or worry. The act of choosing calmness allows you to align yourself with your desires, sending out a powerful signal to the universe that you are ready to receive. Your calmness becomes a magnetic force that attracts opportunities, solutions, and people into your life that are aligned with your highest good. In addition, when you choose calmness, you begin to influence the energy around you. Calmness is contagious. People are drawn to those who exude peace and composure. In situations where others are panicking or reacting out of fear, your calmness can serve as a stabilizing force, helping to soothe the collective energy of a room or group. By remaining calm, you inspire others to do the same, creating a more harmonious environment. This active choice to remain calm does not make you immune to difficult emotions or situations, but it does allow you to handle them with a sense of mastery. Choosing calmness is a practice, one that you can strengthen over time. It's about creating a new habit of mind, one where your first response to any challenge is not panic, fear, or impulsive action, but instead a moment of pause, a deep breath, and a calm response. The more you practice this, the more you will find that calmness becomes your natural state. And with that, your life will begin to transform in ways you never imagined possible. The idea that your mental state shapes your reality is a powerful and transformative concept. We often think that our experiences are dictated by external circumstances, our environment, the people we interact with, or the situations we face. While these external factors certainly play a role, it is ultimately our internal state of mind that determines how we perceive and react to the world around us. Our thoughts, beliefs, and emotional state create the lens through which we experience life, and thus, our mental state is the key to unlocking the life we desire. When you realize that your mental state shapes your reality, it becomes clear that you have the power to control your experience of life. If you constantly dwell on negative thoughts, fears, or limiting beliefs, you will attract experiences that reinforce those thoughts. Similarly, if you choose to cultivate a positive, calm, and empowered mindset, you will attract circumstances that reflect that energy. The mind is not just a passive receiver of external information, it is a powerful creative force that shapes your experience and influences the events that unfold in your life. One of the most significant ways that your mental state shapes your reality is through the law of attraction. This law states that like attracts like, and that the energy you project into the world will attract similar energy back to you. When you are in a state of calmness, peace, and confidence, you are projecting a positive energy into the world. This energy then attracts positive experiences, people, and opportunities that match that frequency. In contrast, when you are filled with fear, anxiety, or doubt, you are projecting a different energy, one that attracts situations that reflect those emotions. Your mental state also influences how you interpret the events that occur in your life. Two people can experience the same situation, but their interpretation of that situation will differ greatly depending on their mental state. For example, imagine that you receive a critical comment from someone at work. If you are in a negative state of mind, you may interpret that comment as an attack on your abilities, leading to feelings of insecurity and self-doubt. However, if you are in a calm, centered state, you may interpret the same comment as constructive feedback, a helpful opportunity for growth. The event itself hasn't changed, but your mental state has determined how you experience it. This idea is especially relevant when it comes to facing challenges. Life is filled with obstacles and setbacks, but how you respond to those challenges is entirely dependent on your mental state. If you approach a difficult situation with a mindset of fear and worry, you are likely to feel overwhelmed and powerless. On the other hand, if you approach the same challenge with a mindset of calmness, confidence, and belief in your ability to overcome it, you will feel more empowered and capable. The external circumstances may remain the same, but your mental state will shape how you navigate them. One of the most powerful ways your mental state shapes your reality is by determining your level of resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity, to remain strong in the face of setbacks and challenges. When you are in a positive and calm mental state, you are more resilient because you approach challenges with a sense of inner strength and confidence. You trust that no matter what happens, you will be able to handle it. In contrast, when you are in a negative mental state, you are more likely to crumble under pressure, as fear and doubt cloud your judgment and make it harder to find solutions. Your mental state also affects your relationships with others. The energy you project into the world directly impacts the people you interact with. If you are calm, positive, and confident, you will attract people who resonate with that energy. People will be drawn to your calm presence, and your relationships will tend to be more harmonious and supportive. On the other hand, if you are constantly anxious, fearful, or reactive, you may attract people who mirror those emotions. Your relationships may become strained as the negative energy you project is reflected back to you in the form of conflict or misunderstandings. Another way that your mental state shapes your reality is by influencing your ability to make decisions. Our decisions are often influenced by our emotions, and when we are in a negative mental state, we are more likely to make decisions based on fear, insecurity, or desperation. These decisions often lead to undesirable outcomes. In contrast, when we are in a calm and centered mental state, we are able to make decisions from a place of clarity and wisdom. We are not swayed by temporary emotions or external pressures, but instead we make choices that are aligned with our long-term goals and values. Your mental state also affects your ability to manifest your desires. Manifestation is the process of bringing your desires into reality, and it is deeply tied to your mental and emotional state. If you are constantly focused on lack, fear, or doubt, you are sending out a vibration of scarcity and limitation, which will attract more of the same. However, when you are in a positive mental state, full of belief, faith, and optimism, you are sending out a vibration of abundance and possibility. This positive energy acts as a magnet, attracting the people, opportunities, and resources you need to manifest your desires. Furthermore, your mental state influences your physical health. The mind-body connection is well documented, and studies have shown that a positive mental state can improve physical health, while a negative mental state can contribute to illness and disease. When you are stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed, your body releases stress hormones that can weaken the immune system, disrupt sleep, and contribute to a range of health problems. In contrast, when you are calm, relaxed, and positive, your body is better able to function at its optimal level. Your mind and body are interconnected, and the energy you cultivate in your mental state directly impacts your physical health. As you become more aware of the connection between your mental state and the reality you create, you can begin to make more conscious choices about how you think and feel. You realize that you have the power to change your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, and by doing so, you change the energy you project into the world. You become more intentional in your thoughts, focusing on what you want to create rather than what you want to avoid. You choose thoughts that empower you, that align with your desires and values, and that contribute to your sense of well-being. By cultivating a positive, calm, and confident mental state, you begin to create a reality that reflects those qualities. Your life becomes a reflection of your inner world, and you attract experiences, people, and opportunities that align with your mindset. Your mental state shapes your reality not just in small ways, but in profound and transformative ways. As you take responsibility for your mental state, you unlock the potential to create a life that is rich with joy, abundance, and fulfillment. When you embrace the power of calmness, you unlock a state of mental clarity that allows you to access your deepest wisdom and insights. In moments of stress, confusion, or uncertainty, our minds are often clouded by a flood of emotions, negative thoughts, and fears. This chaotic mental state can obscure our ability to make clear decisions or see the path forward. However, when we choose calmness, we create the space to think clearly and make decisions from a place of inner knowing rather than reacting from a place of fear or panic. The mind is an incredibly powerful tool, but it is often easily influenced by external circumstances and emotions. When faced with challenges, the natural response is often to react impulsively, driven by anxiety or frustration. These reactions are typically based on past experiences, fears, or unexamined beliefs, which can prevent us from seeing the situation clearly. By choosing calmness, we allow ourselves the time and space to step back and view the situation objectively without the distortion of emotions. This shift in perspective enables us to make decisions that are more thoughtful, balanced, and aligned with our true desires. Calmness is not about suppressing emotions or ignoring the reality of a situation. It is about allowing ourselves to experience our emotions fully while not allowing them to dictate our actions. Emotions are a natural part of the human experience, and they serve as signals that can guide us. However, when emotions take over, they can cloud our judgment and prevent us from thinking clearly. Choosing calmness means acknowledging your emotions but not letting them control your behavior. This allows you to respond to challenges with a sense of composure rather than reacting impulsively or emotionally. One of the most significant benefits of calmness is the ability to gain clarity in the face of confusion. When we are calm, we are able to quiet the noise in our minds and listen to our inner voice. This inner voice, often referred to as intuition or higher wisdom, is always available to us, but it can be difficult to hear when our minds are clouded by fear, stress, or negative thinking. By choosing calmness, we create the conditions for our intuition to rise to the surface. It is in these moments of calmness that we are able to make decisions that feel aligned with our true purpose and desires rather than making choices based on external pressures or emotional reactions. The clarity that comes with calmness also allows us to see opportunities that we might otherwise overlook. In times of stress or confusion, our minds tend to focus on the problems or challenges at hand, making it difficult to see the bigger picture. However, when we are calm, we are able to step back and gain a broader perspective. This broader perspective allows us to recognize new possibilities, explore creative solutions, and take actions that we may not have considered in a more frantic state. Calmness opens the door to innovation and creative problem solving, enabling us to approach challenges with fresh eyes and a renewed sense of possibility. Calmness also enhances our ability to take decisive action. When we are calm, we are not paralyzed by fear or indecision. Instead, we are able to make decisions with confidence, knowing that we are acting from a place of clarity and inner strength. In many situations, the inability to take decisive action is rooted in fear or uncertainty. Fear of making the wrong decision can cause us to hesitate or avoid taking action altogether. However, when we are calm, we are able to trust ourselves and our ability to make the right decision, knowing that we can course correct if needed. Calmness provides us with the confidence to take action and move forward, even in the face of uncertainty. This clarity and decisiveness also extend to our ability to set and achieve goals. When we are calm, we are able to think clearly about what we want and how to achieve it. We are not distracted by fears, doubts. A network error occurred. Please check your connection and try again. If this issue persists, please contact us through our help center at help.openeye.com. When you act as if your calmness is your strength, you embody an energy that influences not just yourself, but the world around you. People respond to the energy you project, whether consciously or unconsciously. If you radiate calmness, confidence, and stability, those around you will feel it. They may not be able to explain why, but they will be drawn to your presence, sensing the steadiness and reliability you offer. Calmness is not passivity, it is a quiet power, a deep-seated assurance that communicates strength without the need for words or force. In moments of conflict or uncertainty, people naturally look to those who remain composed. When emotions are high and reactions are impulsive, the person who remains calm becomes the anchor in the storm. This is why great leaders, whether in history, business, or personal life, are often the ones who maintain their composure even in the most challenging situations. Their calmness does not mean they are indifferent or disengaged. Rather, it signals that they are in control of themselves and their emotions. This level of control is deeply reassuring to those around them, creating a sense of stability that others can rely on. Your calmness also sets the tone for how people interact with you. If you are constantly reactive, those around you will feel the need to walk on eggshells, unsure of how you will respond. But if you remain steady and composed, you create an environment of trust. People will feel safe expressing themselves without fear of an emotional outburst or unnecessary drama. This fosters healthier relationships, both personally and professionally, as people are naturally drawn to those who offer emotional stability. This energy of calmness is not something that can be faked for long. It must come from within. True calmness is a state of being, not just a temporary behavior. It is cultivated through self-awareness, emotional regulation, and a deep understanding that nothing outside of you has power over you unless you allow it. When you fully embrace this mindset, your presence alone can shift the energy in a room. Others will sense your groundedness and will often adjust their own behavior in response. This is the unspoken power of calmness. It influences others without force, simply through the example it sets. Consider a situation where tension is high, perhaps a heated discussion or a stressful environment at work. If you remain calm, your energy can diffuse the intensity of the moment. People will instinctively look to you for guidance, even if you do not say a word. Your calm presence reassures them, signaling that there is no need to panic or act out of fear. This is why the most respected leaders are those who can remain composed under pressure. They do not allow external chaos to dictate their internal state. Instead, they become the source of stability that others seek. This principle applies not only to interactions with people but also to how you navigate challenges in life. When faced with adversity, your reaction determines the outcome more than the situation itself. If you allow stress and fear to consume you, you will struggle to find solutions. But if you maintain your calmness, you will be able to think clearly and act wisely. The way you handle difficulties teaches others how to approach their own challenges. Your ability to stay grounded in tough times serves as a living example of resilience and wisdom. Calmness is contagious. Just as anxiety can spread from person to person, so can tranquility. Have you ever noticed how being around a truly calm person makes you feel at peace? Their presence alone can lower tension and bring a sense of peace. This is because energy is felt on a deep level, beyond words and actions. By embodying calmness, you create an atmosphere where others feel safe to relax, think clearly, and respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. This ability to influence others through calmness is especially powerful in leadership, whether in a formal role or simply within your family or social circle. People naturally follow those who exhibit strength, and one of the greatest strengths is the ability to remain unshaken. When you consistently demonstrate that you are not easily disturbed by external circumstances, people begin to trust your judgment. They see you as someone who can be relied upon, someone who does not waver in the face of uncertainty. This builds respect and admiration not because you demand it, but because your presence commands it. Beyond interpersonal influence, calmness also affects the opportunities and circumstances that come into your life. When you maintain a steady and composed energy, you attract situations that reflect that state. Opportunities tend to flow more easily to those who exude confidence and control over their emotions. Employers, clients, and collaborators are drawn to those who seem capable and unfazed by challenges. The person who remains calm in negotiations, business dealings, or high-pressure situations is often the one who succeeds, not because they force an outcome, but because their composed energy allows them to navigate complexities with ease. This principle extends to all areas of life. In relationships, a calm and centered person fosters a stable and loving dynamic. In professional settings, they become the one others turn to for guidance. In personal development, they are able to stay focused on their goals without being derailed by temporary setbacks. This is the power of embodying calmness as strength. It influences every aspect of your life, without the need for force or struggle. People often mistake calmness for weakness, assuming that those who do not react loudly or aggressively are somehow passive or lacking in conviction. But true calmness is one of the greatest strengths a person can possess. It is the ability to face challenges without being consumed by them, to hold one's ground without unnecessary conflict, and to navigate life with a sense of inner certainty. It is not the absence of emotion, but the mastery of it. It is the ability to choose how you respond rather than allowing circumstances to dictate your state of mind. Those who understand this truth do not waste energy proving themselves to others. They do not need to assert dominance through aggression or loudness. Instead, they lead through presence, through an unshakable inner state that naturally commands respect. This is why the most powerful people in history, in business, and in life are often those who speak less, but carry more influence. Their energy does the speaking for them. Their calmness exudes authority, not because they demand it, but because it is simply who they are. When you act as if your calmness is your strength, you create a ripple effect that extends far beyond yourself. You inspire others to cultivate the same sense of composure, to seek stability rather than chaos, and to recognize that true power lies in mastery over oneself. This is not something that can be achieved overnight, but with practice, awareness, and a commitment to inner growth, it becomes second nature. Calmness becomes the foundation upon which you build your life, influencing not only your own experience but also the world around you. What matters is your ability to live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled right now. Time may take its course in the external world, but in your internal world there is no past or future, only the now. When you live as though your desire is already fulfilled in the present moment, you are transcending the limitations of time and creating your desired reality in the timeless space of the present. Living in the present moment helps you eliminate the concept of waiting. Many people become fixated on when something will happen, when their manifestation will come to fruition, when they will achieve their goals, or when their circumstances will change. However, waiting creates resistance and blocks the flow of energy. The more you wait, the more you are telling the universe that you do not believe your desire is already fulfilled. Living in the present moment removes the need for waiting, because in this moment you assume that your desire has already been realized. There is no gap between where you are and where you want to be, because you are already there in the present moment. In addition to this, living in the present moment encourages you to embrace the idea of living in a state of flow. When you are fully immersed in the present, you are not bogged down by worries about the future or regrets from the past. You are simply flowing with life, engaging in the process of creation, and trusting that everything is unfolding perfectly. This sense of flow helps you release the need to control outcomes, allowing the universe to bring your desires to you in the most effortless way possible. Living in the present moment is a transformative practice that empowers you to take control of your life and your creation process. It helps you step into your true creative power and understand that the only moment in which you can truly manifest is now. By embracing the present, you align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with your desires, and you create the space for them to come to fruition. The more you focus on the present and live in alignment with your desired outcomes, the more you will see your reality shift in miraculous ways. The power of belief is central to Neville Goddard's teachings, and understanding it is key to creating the life you desire. In Neville's philosophy, belief is not a passive state, but an active force that shapes our reality. It is the foundation upon which everything we experience is built. What we believe to be true about ourselves, our world, and our future is directly reflected in our external reality. Our beliefs serve as a filter through which we perceive the world, and they act as a blueprint that governs the outcomes we experience. Belief is not simply about agreeing with something intellectually. It's about assuming with complete confidence that what we desire is already ours, and living as though it has already been realized. The nature of belief, according to Neville, is that it precedes the physical manifestation. It's not about seeing to believe, but about believing in order to see. Many people wait for evidence in the physical world to confirm their beliefs. However, Neville emphasizes that true creation begins within, and the world around you is merely a reflection of your inner state. When you truly believe something, you align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with that belief, and as a result, the external world must reflect that belief back to you. This means that your beliefs are the invisible forces that shape the visible reality. If you believe you are capable of success, for instance, your life will unfold in a way that aligns with that belief. However, this process is not always as straightforward as it seems. Often people have beliefs that are ingrained from past experiences, societal conditioning, or external influences, and these beliefs can be limiting. For example, someone who has been taught that wealth is difficult to attain might struggle to manifest abundance because their belief system is not aligned with prosperity. In such cases, the key to changing external circumstances lies in changing these limiting beliefs. By consciously altering your belief system, you can transform your reality. This is where Neville's teaching on the power of imagination comes into play. Imagination is the tool that allows you to access and reshape your beliefs. When you vividly imagine your desired reality and mentally and emotionally live in the end result, you begin to impress these new beliefs upon your subconscious mind. Over time, the subconscious accepts these new beliefs as truth, and as a result, they become reflected in your life. Belief also extends to the idea of the assumption. According to Neville, assumption is the act of mentally and emotionally living as if your desire is already fulfilled. It is a belief that is so strong and persistent that it feels as though the desired outcome is already a part of your reality. The assumption, much like belief, must be so deeply rooted that you act, think, and feel as though it is already true. When you assume that something is already true, your subconscious mind begins to work in accordance with that assumption, shaping the events of your life to bring that assumption to fruition. This is the power of belief in action, the ability to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and to live from that assumption without doubt or hesitation. One of the most transformative aspects of belief is that it can free you from the need to control how your desires manifest. Many people become overly focused on the how of manifestation, believing that they need to figure out the specific steps to take or the exact timing of events. This can create resistance and stress because the how is ultimately beyond our control. Instead, belief allows you to release this need for control. When you believe that your desires are already yours, you no longer need to worry about the logistics of how they will come into your life. You trust that the universe will take care of the details, and you simply need to maintain your belief and continue living in alignment with your desired outcome. This trust in the process is vital because it removes the mental burden of trying to figure everything out and opens up space for the universe to deliver your desires in the most harmonious way possible. Belief also has a profound effect on how we perceive and respond to challenges or obstacles. When you believe in the fulfillment of your desires, you view challenges not as insurmountable obstacles but as temporary circumstances that are part of the process of manifestation. Your belief allows you to keep moving forward even when things appear to be difficult or uncertain. For instance, if you are working on manifesting a new job and face rejection after an interview, instead of seeing it as a setback, you maintain the belief that your perfect job is already on its way. This belief sustains you through the process and prevents you from giving up or being discouraged. The challenge becomes part of the unfolding of your desire rather than a sign that it isn't happening. This shift in perception is one of the most powerful aspects of belief, because it transforms the way you experience the world and your circumstances. To build and strengthen belief, Neville suggests the practice of mental rehearsal and visualization. By spending time each day vividly imagining your desired outcome, you reprogram your mind to accept that desire as already fulfilled. Visualization works because the subconscious mind cannot distinguish between a real experience and one that is vividly imagined. As you imagine your desires being realized, you are impressing them upon your subconscious mind, and over time that new belief becomes embedded in your consciousness. When you continuously reinforce the belief that your desires are already yours, you begin to see the external world conforming to that belief. Another way to strengthen belief is through the use of affirmations. Affirmations are statements that reinforce the desired belief and can be used to reprogram the subconscious mind. By repeating positive, empowering affirmations that align with your desires, you are planting seeds in your mind that will eventually grow into beliefs. For example, if you desire financial abundance, you might repeat an affirmation like, "I am abundant in all areas of my life." Repeating this affirmation with conviction and feeling helps to solidify the belief in abundance. Over time, your actions and external circumstances will align with this belief, and you will begin to see financial opportunities manifesting in your life. Belief also has a direct impact on your self-worth and confidence. When you truly believe in your ability to achieve your desires, you naturally begin to take actions that align with that belief. This could mean taking bold steps toward your goals, engaging in new opportunities, or simply carrying yourself with the confidence that you are worthy of success. The more you believe in your own worth, the more you will act in ways that affirm your value, and as a result, your reality will begin to mirror that belief. This creates a positive feedback loop where your belief in yourself fuels your actions, and your actions in turn reinforce your beliefs. Lastly, it's important to recognize that belief is not something static. It's a dynamic force that evolves over time. As you begin to see the evidence of your desires manifesting, your belief in the process grows stronger. This creates a cycle of increasing faith and alignment with your desires. The more you believe, the more you see proof that your beliefs are shaping your reality. This self-reinforcing cycle continues to build momentum, and before you know it, your life becomes a living testament to the power of belief. When you trust in your beliefs and act from that trust, the universe aligns with you and your desires are drawn to you effortlessly. Belief is not just a passive mental concept. It is a powerful creative force that shapes your entire reality. Through belief, you create the conditions for your desires to manifest. By aligning your thoughts, emotions, and actions with the belief that your desires are already fulfilled, you set the stage for their manifestation. It is not enough to believe intellectually. You must live from the assumption that your desires are already yours. As you strengthen your belief through practices like visualization, affirmation, and mental rehearsal, you reprogram your subconscious mind to align with your desires, and the external world will reflect that alignment. Belief is the foundation of creation, and by mastering it, you unlock the power to create the life you truly desire. The concept of detachment is often misunderstood, but in Neville Goddard's philosophy, it plays a crucial role in manifesting desires and living a fulfilling life. Detachment, as Neville teaches, does not mean indifference or not caring about what you want. Rather, it is about releasing attachment to the outcome and the specific form in which your desires must manifest. It is about trusting that the universe is constantly working in your favor and that whatever you desire will come to you in the right way at the right time. The idea is to stop obsessing over how or when something will happen and instead focus on aligning your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs with your desired outcome while letting go of the need to control the process. Many people approach manifestation with a mindset of desperation or attachment. They may desire something deeply, but they remain fixated on the specific way in which they believe it should come into their lives. This attachment to the how and the when often creates resistance, which blocks the flow of energy and delays the manifestation of their desires. The key to successful manifestation, according to Neville, is to release this attachment and trust that the universe will provide exactly what you need, even if it doesn't come in the form or time frame you originally envisioned. Detachment in this sense involves a deep sense of trust in the process and in the creative power that resides within you. It requires you to step back from constantly checking for signs or waiting for immediate results. Instead, you shift your focus to living from the assumption that your desires have already been fulfilled. When you believe that what you want is already on its way to you, there is no need for anxiety, worry, or impatience. You trust that the universe will bring you what you need in the most perfect way, and you release any attachment to the form in which it will arrive. One of the reasons why detachment is so powerful in Neville's teachings is that it allows you to fully embrace the present moment. People often spend so much time focusing on their future desires or regretting past mistakes that they miss the opportunities and beauty available to them right now. By practicing detachment, you free yourself from the constant cycle of longing and desire. You stop waiting for something outside of you to change in order to feel happy or fulfilled. Instead, you start to enjoy the present moment, knowing that all things are already in motion to bring your desires into being. When you detach from the need for specific outcomes, you also allow space for greater possibilities. The universe works in mysterious ways, and by holding tightly to a particular vision of how things should unfold, you may unintentionally limit the infinite possibilities that exist. Detachment encourages you to let go of rigid expectations and be open to receiving your desires in unexpected forms. What you may think is the perfect solution may not always be the best for you, and by detaching from a fixed outcome, you create room for the universe to surprise you with something even better than you imagined. A critical part of detachment is also understanding that your self-worth is not tied to the outcome of your desires. Many people attach their sense of value and happiness to whether or not they achieve a particular goal. They might think, once I get that job or that relationship or that amount of money, then I'll be happy. This mindset creates a constant cycle of seeking external validation and feeling incomplete until that desire is realized. Neville teaches that your worth is inherent. and you do not need to tie your happiness to external circumstances. When you detach from the outcome and trust that your desires will manifest in divine timing, you no longer feel as though your happiness depends on them. Instead, you cultivate a sense of inner peace and satisfaction, knowing that your fulfillment is independent of what happens in the external world. Another essential aspect of detachment is the ability to release doubts and fears. Often, when people are too attached to an outcome, they allow doubts and negative thoughts to creep in. They start questioning whether they deserve what they want or whether it is even possible to achieve. These doubts stem from attachment to the outcome, and they create mental blocks that prevent manifestation from occurring. Detaching from the outcome allows you to release these doubts and maintain your belief in the desired end result. You trust that your desire is already fulfilled and you do not need to continuously question or doubt the process. This trust is vital in maintaining a sense of flow and ease in the manifestation process. In Neville's teachings, detachment also extends to letting go of any preconceived ideas about how or when your desires will manifest. People often get caught up in looking for specific signs or evidence that their manifestation is on its way. They might check their bank accounts obsessively or anxiously await a phone call, looking for external confirmation. While it is natural to feel excited and hopeful, Neville suggests that such behavior only strengthens attachment and creates resistance. By detaching from the need for signs or proof, you let go of the anxiety and stress that often come with waiting for something to happen. Instead, you focus on your inner state, trusting that the external world will eventually reflect the inner assumption of your desires being fulfilled. This is where Neville's concept of living in the end becomes particularly useful. By living as though your desire has already been fulfilled, you release the pressure of waiting for something to change. You stop measuring your success by external milestones and start measuring it by your internal sense of fulfillment. When you live from the end, you act, think, and feel as though the thing you desire has already come to pass. You release any attachment to when or how it will arrive, and instead focus on the joy and fulfillment of having it right now, in the present moment. Detachment also involves learning how to deal with challenges or setbacks that may arise during the manifestation process. It's important to understand that obstacles are a natural part of life and are not necessarily signs that something is wrong. Rather than viewing challenges as barriers, detachment allows you to see them as temporary and ultimately inconsequential to your ultimate desire. If something doesn't work out as planned, detaching from the outcome allows you to maintain your peace and confidence, knowing that everything is unfolding in perfect order, even if it's not immediately apparent. This mindset shift reduces the emotional charge around setbacks, preventing frustration or discouragement from setting in. A common misunderstanding of detachment is that it requires you to completely disconnect from your desires, or to stop caring about them. However, detachment is not about relinquishing your desires or resigning yourself to an unfulfilled life. It's about recognizing that attachment to the outcome creates resistance and prevents the natural flow of manifestation. By practicing detachment, you free yourself from this resistance and in doing so allow your desires to come to you more effortlessly. It's about trusting that you are deserving of your desires and that they are already on their way to you. Detachment in Neville Goddard's philosophy is about releasing attachment to the form and timing of your desires, while maintaining an unwavering belief that your desires are already yours. It's about letting go of the need to control every aspect of the manifestation process and trusting that the universe is working in your favor. Detaching from the outcome frees you from the stress, doubt, and anxiety that often come with desire, allowing you to live in a state of peace and alignment with your inner vision. When you practice detachment, you open yourself up to the limitless possibilities that life has to offer, knowing that your desires will come to you in the perfect way and time. By releasing attachment, you allow the universe to work through you, bringing your dreams into reality effortlessly and naturally. The way you see the world shapes the way the world responds to you. When you act as if everything always works out for you, you are not pretending. You are aligning yourself with a deeper truth, a truth that says reality conforms to your inner state. Every assumption you hold plants a seed in the unseen realm, and what you persist in assuming inevitably hardens into fact. Neville Goddard taught that imagination is the creative force behind everything you experience. If you can imagine yourself already in possession of the life you desire, and persist in that state, the world will rearrange itself to match your assumption. This is not wishful thinking, this is the law of consciousness. The moment you act as if everything works out for you, you step into a new state of being. You no longer react to circumstances as if they hold power over you. Instead, you dictate how reality unfolds by embodying the feeling of already having what you seek. The world becomes a mirror reflecting back to you the state you occupy. If you walk with the certainty that life always bends in your favor, life will begin to prove you right. People will show up at the right time, opportunities will flow, and challenges will dissolve effortlessly. This is not because the world has suddenly changed, but because you have. Your inner shift reorders the outer world. Many believe they must first see evidence before they can believe something is true, but the truth is the opposite. Belief precedes evidence. What you accept as real in your inner world must take shape in the physical. If you believe that you are always lucky, that doors always open for you, that you are always in the right place at the right time, your subconscious mind will seek out and create experiences to confirm this assumption. The law is impersonal. It does not judge whether an assumption is good or bad, only whether it is persistently held. If you assume struggle, struggle manifests. If you assume ease, ease manifests. There is no need to force or chase anything. Acting as if everything always works out for you does not mean constantly striving or worrying about how things will unfold. It means trusting in the unseen power that orchestrates events according to your state of mind. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you move as if your desire is already a reality. You no longer beg, plead, or doubt. You simply walk in confidence, knowing the unseen forces are working in your favor. This is the essence of living in the end. Living in the end means experiencing the joy, peace, and fulfillment of having already received what you desire. You do not wait for external validation, you create it within yourself first. If you desire love, you embody the feeling of being deeply loved. If you desire financial abundance, you carry yourself with the ease and confidence of someone who already has more than enough. The external world is slow to catch up, but it will inevitably conform. When you act as if everything always works out for you, you shift into a state where solutions appear before problems arise, where delays turn into divine timing, and where obstacles transform into stepping stones. Doubt is the greatest barrier to manifestation. If you waver between believing in your power and surrendering to fear, you send mixed signals to the universe. Acting as if requires unwavering faith. It means refusing to entertain thoughts of failure, lack, or limitation. It is not about ignoring reality, but about choosing which reality to accept. There are infinite versions of you existing simultaneously. There is a version of you who struggles, doubts, and fears. And there is a version of you who thrives, who trusts, who knows that everything is always working out. You have the power to choose which version of yourself you will embody. The world will test you. It will throw challenges your way to see if you truly believe in your assumption. In these moments, your response determines the outcome. If you react with fear, frustration, or doubt, you slip back into the old state. But if you remain steadfast, knowing that the temporary obstacle is merely an illusion, you will move through it effortlessly. The key is to remain unshaken, to persist in the assumption that everything is unfolding for your highest good, even when appearances suggest otherwise. The subconscious mind accepts what is impressed upon it with feeling. This is why it is not enough to simply affirm that everything works out. You must feel it. You must embody the confidence, the peace, the knowing. If you say the words but still feel fear, your subconscious will respond to the feeling, not the words. The body does not know the difference between imagination and reality. When you close your eyes and truly immerse yourself in the experience of having what you desire, your subconscious registers it as real. And once something is real in your inner world, it must materialize in the outer world. People often ask, how long will it take? But this question itself comes from a place of doubt. Time is irrelevant in the realm of consciousness. The moment you fully assume a state, it is done. The physical world may take time to reflect it, but the change has already occurred. Instead of waiting for proof, act as if it is already here. Do not look to the external for confirmation. Become the person who already has it, and the world will conform. You are the operant power. Nothing happens to you, everything happens through you. The power you seek is not outside of you, it is within. When you shift your assumption, the world moves. When you act as if everything always works out for you, you send a command to the universe, and the universe obeys. Opportunities appear, people align, and synchronicities unfold. Not because of luck, but because you are embodying the state where this is natural. There is no need to struggle, no need to push. The most effortless way to create is through assumption. Assume it is already done, and move through life as if it is so. Do not seek, do not doubt, do not waver. Hold the feeling, walk in confidence, and watch as reality bends to match your state of being. Everything is always working out for you. When you believe it, you will see it. When you act as if everything always works out for you, you are stepping into a reality where you are no longer a victim of circumstances, but the master of your fate. You are not just hoping for good things to happen, you are deciding that they will. This is not about pretending or fooling yourself. It is about understanding that reality is shaped by your assumptions, and what you assume to be true must become true. You are not at the mercy of life. Life is at the mercy of your state of consciousness. Most people live in reaction to the world around them, allowing circumstances to dictate how they feel, how they think, and what they believe is possible. But this is an illusion. The truth is, your inner state is what determines the outer world, not the other way around. When you act as if everything always works out for you, you are shifting your consciousness to a higher level, one where life bends in your favor because you expect it to. This expectation is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is the recognition that your assumptions create your reality. When you assume that things will always work out, you stop worrying about how things will unfold. Worry is a sign that you are doubting your power. Doubt weakens your ability to manifest because it signals to the subconscious mind that you are not fully convinced. But when you stand firm in the belief that everything is unfolding in your favor, you emit a frequency of certainty, and the universe responds in kind. Doors open effortlessly, obstacles dissolve, and opportunities appear, seemingly out of nowhere. It is not out of nowhere, it is out of your consciousness. You cannot fake this mindset. You must genuinely feel it, embody it, live it. You must walk as if you already have what you desire, speak as if it is done, carry yourself with the confidence of someone who knows that the universe is always working behind the scenes, arranging things in your favor. This is the essence of living in the end. You are no longer hoping, you are knowing. You are no longer waiting, you are being. Many people sabotage their manifestations by constantly checking for signs, wondering when their desire will appear. But this only reinforces a state of lack. The one who truly knows does not need proof. They do not wait for validation from the outside world because they have already received it internally. And because they have received it within, it must eventually appear without. The world is a mirror, always reflecting back the state you persist in. If you want to change what you see, you must first change what you assume to be true. Most people believe in struggle because they have been conditioned to think that life is hard, that success takes effort, that love is rare, that money is scarce. But these are all assumptions, and they are only true for those who believe them. The moment you decide that ease, abundance, love, and success are your natural state, they will become your experience. There is no power outside of you dictating what you can or cannot have. The only limitations that exist are the ones you accept. The moment you reject them, they dissolve. Acting as if everything always works out for you does not mean ignoring reality. It means choosing which reality to accept. Right now, there are infinite versions of you existing simultaneously. There is a version of you struggling, a version of you thriving, a version of you doubting, and a version of you completely confident in your power. The version you experience depends on which one you align with. The moment you shift into the state of the version who knows that life always works out, that becomes your dominant reality. This is not about waiting for circumstances to change before you feel good. It is about feeling good first, knowing that the world must shift in response. This is why most people remain stuck. They wait for external changes before they allow themselves to feel differently. But the truth is, external change is the result of an internal shift. You must feel the success before you see it. You must feel the abundance before it arrives. Doubt is the killer of dreams. The moment you allow doubt to creep in, you are stepping back into a reality where things don't work out for you. But doubt is a choice. You can choose to entertain it, or you can choose to dismiss it. The ones who master this law are the ones who refuse to let doubt dictate their beliefs. They stand firm in their assumption, no matter what appears before them. They do not react to temporary setbacks because they know the final outcome is already secured. You are always creating, whether you realize it or not. The question is, are you creating deliberately or by default? If you allow fear, worry, and doubt to dominate your mind, you will manifest experiences that reflect those states. But if you assume that everything is working out, that life is unfolding perfectly, that you are always in the right place at the right time, your reality will mold itself to match that assumption. Acting as if is not about forcing things to happen. It is about becoming the version of yourself for whom these things are natural. The version of you who already has what they desire is not desperate, is not anxious, is not constantly questioning. They are calm, confident, and certain. They move with assurance, they speak with authority, and they trust the process completely. Every great manifestation requires persistence. You may not see results immediately, but that does not mean it is not working. The moment you assume a new state, reality begins shifting to match it. Sometimes this means old structures must collapse before the new can emerge. If things seem to be falling apart, do not panic. It is simply reality reorganizing itself to fit your new assumption. Hold your state, remain unmoved, and watch as everything aligns perfectly in divine timing. The people who seem lucky, the ones for whom everything flows effortlessly, are not different from you. They are simply operating from a different assumption. They expect things to go well, and so they do. The only difference between them and someone who struggles is the state they persist in. But you can change your state at any moment. Right now, you can decide that from this point forward, everything will always work out for you. And if you truly believe it, if you act as if it is already so, you will watch your reality transform before your eyes. You do not need permission to be powerful. You do not need external validation to claim what is already yours. Everything you seek is already within you. The only thing standing between you and the life you desire is the assumption that it is not already yours. But the moment you accept it as done, the universe has no choice but to bring it into your experience. Everything is always working out for you. The only question is, do you believe it? Because if you do, you will see it. The world is waiting for you to make a decision. Decide now that from this moment forward, life unfolds in your favor. And if you persist in this belief, nothing will ever be the same again.